Hey guys, we are back with some more New Jersey Devils franchise mode, and in this one, we are going to start things off yet again with some line changes, because as we saw in the last one, our power play wasn't the greatest, and our penalty kill was atrocious. It was at a 69.8, I think it was, so we changed up the penalty kill a little bit. The first line is intact from before, but we have replaced Guy Bejin with Kyle Palmieri on here, as he does hit a lot more than Guy Bejin does. He has 54 hits currently, a better takeaway to giveaway ratio. However, since he's off the penalty kill, I've decided to put Guy Bejin on the power play. And the reason for that is he kind of has 20 points in only 841 of average ice time per game on the fourth line. So I'm going to see if he can spark that power play. And as we take a look at his hits and giveaways and takeaways, you see Palmieri is better defensively than he is currently. However, that's not to say Bejin could have a penalty kill role in the future, because he's clearly very well-rounded as a two-way forward. He's got the puck skills, he's got the shooting, he's got the senses, he's got the defensive category, he's got the skating, and he's got the physicality. So he's got everything he needs. He just needs to develop a little bit more. And by the time, I would say, by the time we're in year 6, year 7, he should be good to go for an all-situations sort of player. So with that all being said, those are the only changes we're making, because other than that, our 5-on-5 scoring has actually been on fire, basically, because we were at, I believe, a 3.66 goals for per game, and our power play was at a 17.5, I think. So that clearly tells me, you know, the 5-on-5 scoring is working. It's just that we're not getting the goaltending and we're not getting the special teams. So hopefully those changes work out for us. We have Allen back in there because Karppinen, granted, I liked what he did in those few wins that he got, but the couple of losses that he got were really brutal. Especially, even a win that he got, he let in 7 goals, and then a week later, he lets in 9 against Arizona. So that was just, yeah, it's not worth it to have him in there, at least not right now, not at this stage of the season. It was all right to test him out for about a couple of weeks there, but he didn't have the greatest save percentage. We just have to roll with Leonard and I was about to say Dubnyk and Jake Allen here. So we're going to go back into the settings and turn auto-rotate goalies back on so that we don't have to worry about all that. And we are just going to check our team stats as a point of reference for where we are right now so that we know how much we've improved when we next check it. So yeah, 3.66 goals for per game, but 3.47 goals against. Hate to see it. Power play 17.4 and penalty kill at 69.8. Brutal. 26 power play goals against on only 86 opportunities. So we're going to go the month of January, and we'll see how we do here. And obviously we are 22, 13, and 3. We're third in the division. We're in a pretty good spot. So I would love, how many games are here? You have 6, 9, 10, 11 in this month. I would love 7 wins at least. What do we have here? We have a trade, Spezza, a first, a second, and a third for Ellis and Arvidsson. No, thank you. Don't need to make any trades right now. A 2-1 loss against Chicago. Divisional games are key here. And a loss against Carolina, 7-3. But we do get a 4-1 win against Minnesota to make up for those couple losses. Now, unfortunately, Pavel Zacha injured with injured ribs till January 15th. I don't think that's too far off. I think that's actually only a week away. So we will get, who is it? I think it's Brett Seney is our extra this year. Yeah. And back to the simulation. We have another trade offer. No, thank you. Nashville will be a shootout loss, so at least we got a point there. And we beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 3-1. Solid win. Vegas would love at least a point here. And Pavel Zacha is back. So we got the win against Vegas, 5-1, but then a 10-2 loss against Arizona. I don't know what it is about Arizona. I think that's the... Wasn't Arizona the team that blew us out 9-3 as well? I'm pretty sure they are. So that would be the second time this year that Arizona has massively outscored us, and it looks like we are now starting to really get our butts kicked defensively. And we end off the month with a 5-1 win against Pittsburgh, but in this month we went, let's see, we went 4-5-2 in this month. So we're obviously still in a playoff spot, and that's all that I really care about, but the team's performance in that month was not optimal. So we're actually going to go, instead of into the lines, we're going to go back into the team stats, and we're going to see if anything improved or if it regressed even more somehow. And wow, the goals against per game regressed even more. You absolutely hate to see it. The power play got better, and the penalty kill got a little bit better. I think we might have to make a goaltending change. Nothing's working defensively. Robin Leonard with an .887 save percentage. Let's take a look through the NHL and see if there's any goaltenders who at least have a respectable save percentage throughout, let's say, at least 30 games. So there's Shesterkin, there's Gibson, there's Kemper, Knight, Hart, Georgiev, Jerry, Ranta, Hellebuck, Bishop. Those guys are all above 900, and then there's several below 900 who have played at least 30 games. Temko, Holtby, Leonard's near the bottom right now. Yeah, that makes sense. He's gotten a lot of wins, but he hasn't been saving the puck. Rask, DiPietro, Nedeljkovic, Omark, Markstrom, Korpisalo, Riddick, Anderson, Blackwood, Murray, Jones, Quick, Dell, Saros, all guys who have played at least 30 games and do not have a 900 save percentage. You absolutely hate to see it. Goaltending in this game, at least in this file, is not in a good spot. Basically for half the teams in the league, it looks like. So we're going to see if there's any goalies available on the market, because it's just, for whatever reason, it's just not working this year with Leonard. We need to do something. So I am debating giving up our first for next year for Philip Grubauer. And the reason being, first of all, Pittsburgh wants to give him up. Second of all, he's only played 18 games as an 84 overall, which means Pittsburgh has another goaltender that they've been using more often, and that would be Juuse Saros. He's an 85 overall, and he has a worse save percentage. I guess they want to go with Saros, and they have Grubauer on the block, so I'm not going to say no to that, because he has a pretty good save percentage for the purposes of this save file. He has a pretty good save percentage. That's probably in the top 15 or 20 of goaltenders at the moment. And then you also add in a second-round pick for next year, so it's basically they're moving up their second to a first, and they're including Grubauer, their backup, in there, who they want to give up. Probably because he's on a multi-year deal with some salary on him, and he's not their main goaltender. So it makes financial sense for them to give him up. And there's really, when you take a look at all of our assets, there's really not much that we can give up. I mean, we could give Leonard back the other way, but that doesn't really make much sense, given that they want to give up Grubauer, and Leonard would probably just be a backup for them anyway. And when you look at our defensive core, I mean, we need to keep all these guys, and then anyone who's not an NHLer has almost no value. And as far as forwards go, I want to keep basically every single one of these guys. Pushkarev, he's seen some really good growth over the past couple of years. Bykov, he's only 18, 78 overall. I don't want to give up on him just yet. Boqvist, he's been hot so far this year compared to last year. Last year he had 24 points total. This year he already has 26 points in 49 games. So he's more on track, more or less anyway, for what he had in year number one, or his year number one, when he had 45 points. So there's nobody who I really want to give up here. So as a result, we're going to give up our first round pick for next year for Grubauer, and a second round pick also for next year. Proposed trade, not going through. Okay. So I thought that might happen. Let's get a third on there for, not for this year. I want to make sure it's for next year, just so that we can kind of make up for losing that first round pick. Well, actually, we don't have a second round pick this year, so it might be beneficial to get a second for this year if we can. Will this work? Grubauer and this year's second for next year's first? No. We're still quite far off. All right. Thought I'd try it. So let's get, instead, a third on there for next year, and let's try I was about to say let's try a fourth, but I don't know. I don't think that'll work. Yeah, let's just get a third on there. So our first for next year for Grubauer, and their third for next year still rejected. Really. So am I just going to have to go one for one here? A first rounder for Grubauer? it's a risk because every single one of our goaltenders so far, for the most part, has not been good in the regular season. But it's a risk that I'm going to have to take because we are a contending team. We just haven't been able to get the right kind of goaltending. And if for some reason Grubauer flops as well, then we're going to have to look into possibly getting a new goaltender coach because otherwise I have no explanation for why we have gone through the amount of goaltenders that we have. I think, what has it been so far? It's been Schneider, Blackwood, Leonard, Dubnyk, Karpinen as well, who we signed and brought up, and then Allen as well. So this would be goaltender number 7 of the entire GM mode. And that's not counting Evan Cormier, who backed up, or any third-string goaltenders that we've had. But still, that's a lot of goaltenders to go through in 4 years, or in 5 years, whatever it's been. So, I guess a first for Grubauer. I really want to try to sneak, maybe, at the very least, a late draft pick in there. Let's see if we can get a 4th back. Proposed trade? Alright, that'll go through. There you go. So hopefully Grubauer works out for us because we're running out of options goaltending wise because, again, this is goaltender number 7 on the GM mode. So I believe, yeah, Karpinen got sent down, that's fine. So we have 3 NHL level goaltenders now. They're going to have to battle it out to see which one's the best at keeping that save percentage up there during the regular season, and whoever runs with it can have the ball during the playoffs. Presuming we actually make it to the playoffs. I mean, we're in the playoffs right now, but with the way our goaltending has been, anything could happen. So hopefully Grubauer is what we need to get going goaltending-wise. We'll get him in there instead of Allen. And for right now, we'll leave the automated goalie rotations on with Leonard and Grubauer in there. But we'll start with Grubauer. I don't want to see he's capable of. So, man, this whole goaltending situation, it's messing with my brain because it's so deviant of what actual good numbers in real life are. And then you see the amount of goaltenders that are struggling in this save file, and you think, wow, 900 may actually not be that bad, you know? So we're going to go up to the trade deadline and hope for the best, because I really got nothing else to say on this team, because we've been doing all sorts of line changes, all sorts of goaltender changes, and, you know, obviously we did win the Stanley Cup in year number 2, but we haven't found that consistent regular season success, and that's obviously what you need to have in order to even get to the playoffs in the first place. And remember, during our Stanley Cup year, we barely made it into the playoffs with 89 points. We just got lucky with our divisional standings. So let's hope that this all works out. And we have a trade. To Calgary will be Schlappick, and a 5th, and to Ottawa will be Mikael Backlund. The Capitals have fired head coach Gavin Kadri, so a bunch of head coach firings, and we are looking pretty impressive right now. And of course, as I say that, we get a shootout loss, but we followed up with a 5-3 win against Vancouver. We have 33, 18, and 6. And I'm not going to say anything right now because I'm afraid I'll jinx it. I'll wait for it to happen. Game against San Jose. And there it is, a regulation loss. I was about to say that we did not have any regulation losses in that month up until just now. So a trade. We have to the Islanders, Braden Shen, and a 5th, and to St. Louis, a 1st, and I believe that is Oscar Steen. So there you go, 2 regulation losses in a row. And we have another trade. To Detroit, Adams, a 1st, and Brzgalov, apparently. And then to Pittsburgh, Riley Smith and Brock Nelson. Pittsburgh with a 6-4 win against us. To Edmonton will be Robbie Fabry. And to St. Louis, a 1st, and Heino. Calgary, we have a 6-4 loss. What is going on? We are all of a sudden now a streaky team. Make up your mind, boys. There you go. Get the win. Oh, man. So this has been quite the season already. We've seen ups and downs. We've, for the most part, been successful. For the first part of this month, we were really successful. And then for the second part, not so much. 4-game losing streak right there. So we are 34, 22, and 6. Currently 3rd in the division. And we're quite a few points ahead of the wild card in the Flyers. So we're in a pretty good spot. As long as we can keep a 2-1 win-loss ratio, I would say we're in. But let's take a look at all the team stats and the player stats before we move forward, just to make sure that we want to actually take this team into the playoffs, because it's been so shaky. Goals for per game, we are at 3.68 goals against per game. I believe that's gone down from when we last checked. It was previously, I think, around a 3.6. Now it's at a 3.48. Power play, now that is a power play. We are at the top of the division, 22.2%. And the penalty kill is slowly getting better. Keep in mind, it was at a 69.8 at the start of the episode. So it's getting slightly better. I don't know how much better, but it's better from when we last checked. Now let's check the player stats. Nico is currently above a point per game, 68 points. He's really benefiting from playing with Hall and Hughes. Gusev with 62 points, Hall with 61. He has a point per game as well. Hughes with 61 and 62. Bratt with 48. Palmieri with 37. Boqvist with 34. Beijing with 29 points. Let's see how many of those are power play points ever since we put him on the power play. 3 power play points. Okay. 2 of them are goals, though. Lundell with 25 points. So this is the interesting part, is that Beijing on the fourth line has more points than Lundell, who is getting almost double the amount of ice time that Beijing is. So I think maybe Lundell, in the future, if he continues like this, could be specifically a penalty killer and like a third line center. Now, I'm hoping, obviously, that he develops more. But if this is what he is going to be in the future, then he could be a perfect third line penalty killing center, because we have, he's great on faceoffs. Well, not at the moment, 49.85, but he's close to a 50. And he was up there, I believe, at 52 as we last checked. He's not great physically, but he is fantastic with the takeaways to giveaways. So hopefully that all works out for the best for him. But if not, we already have a pretty decent defensive player. And you have Cooper Bellows with 25 points, Dubé with 23, Zaka with 22. So I believe that is a lot more than he had last year for sure. Yeah, he had 17 total last year. That is a high since year number 2, I believe. And you know what happened in year number 2? And Cini with 3 points. So as we check faceoffs, Nico with a 54.2, Zaka with a 51.6, Boqvist with a 51%, and Lundell with a 49.9. So everyone's basically at 50% or above. Hits, you have Hughes, Bellows, and Hall with over 100. Palmieri, well over a hit per game. Gusev, Beijing also laying the body quite a bit. Lundell with 45 hits. Zaka with 41. Dubé with 39. Bratt with 38. Hischier with 35. And Boqvist with 33. Cini with 1. And the takeaways to giveaways, this should be interesting. Lundell, Hall, Hischier, Hughes, all doing amazing. Bellows, pretty good. Palmieri, about even. He's pretty good as well. Boqvist, he's pretty good. Gusev could be doing better, as well as Bratt. Zaka, he's decent. Dubé as well. Beijing could be doing a little bit better, but I'm already impressed with his offensive performance on the fourth line, so I can't complain too much about that, as long as we see improvement out of him. And keep in mind, he's only 20 years of age. We could still see a lot of improvement out of him. Goaltenders, well, actually, I skipped over defenseman. Justin Falk with 44 points. Subban with 42, and he unfortunately has that top 6 potential now. You hate to see it. Absolutely hate to see it. Ty Smith with 23 points, Severson with 14, Haig with 9, Vukojevic with 7, and Schmaltz with 4. And look at that. That's why we got Falk. The 156 shots currently in 62 games played. Subban's only taken 119 so far, so it's a good thing that we got Falk. It's a real good thing we got Falk. Hit-wise, Subban has the most with 120. Severson and Haig also have a lot with 81. Vukojevic with 73, well above a hit per game. Falk with 51, Smith with 26, and Schmaltz with 12. It's kind of hard to judge defensemen with the takeaways to giveaways. Generally, as long as it's a 2-to-1 giveaway to takeaway ratio, I'm alright with it, but for whatever reason, our defensemen seem to like to give away the puck a lot, at least in this particular year. And as far as goaltending goes, Grubauer with a 922 for us. Yeah. I think we should turn automated goalie rotations off, and we should at the very least stick with Grubauer for right now because he is doing fantastic as of late. And basically, as of every game that he's played for us so far, he's only been 6 games, granted, but that's a higher save percentage than we've seen from basically anybody in the past, I don't know how long in the regular season. So we're going to turn automatic goal rotations off, and we are going to get Grubauer in there as the number 1 for a little bit. Come on, Grubauer. I traded a first round pick for you. Don't let us down here, please. Please. Just get us... How many games are left? There's, I think, about 20 games left. If you could get us at least 13 wins out of these next 20 games, I'll be happy. Because that means, at that point, that we'll have 47 points, or not 47 points, 47 wins, and that will guarantee us 94 points plus 6. That would guarantee us 100 points. So just 13 wins. That's all I want over this last stretch. We'll go 1 week at a time here. We'll evaluate his performance game by game. We're not going to make any trades. I feel generally comfortable with this team. We just need to shut it down defensively. So there you have a 6-5 shootout loss against Philly, a loss against Ottawa, a win against Boston. So there's 1 win. Toronto, OT loss, we got the point. Philly, OT loss, we got the point. So building up those losers' points, I mean, that could help us out in the end. So I guess, every point counts. I'll take it over losing in regulation. Philly, Montreal, the Islanders, and Ottawa. We have a win against Philly, loss against Montreal, and against the Islanders, we have a loss there. Against Ottawa, we have a loss there. Oh my goodness. Come on, boys. We have 91 points, it looks like. 81 points. How many games left? It looks like 11. It's close again, man. The closest team to us in our division is the Islanders, but they could still technically make a run at the end, and we could go on a huge slide and just miss the playoffs just like that. So I don't know what's gotten into this team. I hope it's not Grubauer, because again, we kind of traded a first round pick for him, and his save percentage has immediately dropped down to a 907. So I'll put some of that on Grubauer. I'm not gonna blame it all on him, but we need something to get going right now. So we're gonna put Leonard back in there. Tell me the penalty kill is at least at a 76% right now. That would be, I'd be okay with that, compared to what we've seen for the majority of the year. As I continue to vamp as we go over to penalty kill, we're at, all right, you know what? They did what I asked for. I asked for at least a 76%. We're at a 76.7. I'll take it. And the power play, still clicking at a 22.4, so I can't complain much there either. We just need to, it's so confusing. We just need to shut it down. There's no other way to put it. Now, I could go all crazy with the line changes, but the thing is, the first line's been dynamite this year. The second line, not as much, especially with Lundell. My goodness, he is kind of unfortunate, point scoring wise. He's great defensively, but it looks like he is not cut out for the top 6 as of right now. So we might actually want to move him down to the third line and get him with Bellows and Palmieri, and then we get Boqvist, who's been actually pretty good offensively, up with Bratt and Gusev. Or is it Lundell that balances out that second line, since Bratt and Gusev aren't the greatest defensively? Decisions. Well, you know what? It's not like this second line's been winning us games lately anyway, especially with Lundell not getting too many points. So you know what? Let's try it. Let's try Boqvist with Gusev and Bratt, and then Bellows, Lundell, and Palmieri. That's a very good third line, and presuming Boqvist's production from the third line carries over to the second line, that should be a much better second line as well. So, and the fourth line has been doing fantastic. As we go back into, did not want to do that, as we go back into edit lines, the fourth line of Beijing, Zaka, and Dubé, we take a look at them. Beijing with 17 goals so far in the season, 15 assists. How many of those are power play? Yeah, only 4 power play points. So 28 even strength points on the fourth line with 911 average ice time per game. Zaka with 25 points in only 718 of ice time. That fourth line is killing it this year. And then Dubé as well, 26 points in 720 of ice time. Not breaking up that fourth line. So hopefully Boquist up to the second line and Lundell to the third line is what gets us going. Because we really cannot afford to drop too many of these final 11 games here. I'm going to say we need at least 7 out of these next 11. Because that'll get us to 43 wins. And at that point, we would be at 95 points, right? Because 43 wins, that's 86 points. Plus the 9 OT losses that we have. An additional 9 points brings you to 95. So in this next week, I want to see at least 3 wins, especially win against Columbus and the Rangers. Divisional games are key. I would love to see wins against Dallas and Colorado, though, obviously. And there you go. We lost against the Rangers, but we did win against Columbus. And we lost against Colorado. Okay. We're still in a divisional spot, or not a divisional spot, but we're in the playoffs still. Win against Carolina, please. And obviously, I would love to see a win against Winnipeg. There it is. 4-2 win and a 5-4 OT win. Things are looking much better right now. Colorado and the Rangers. I think that Rangers game will decide things. Against Colorado, we have a 7-2 win. Shootout loss against the Rangers, but we are in. There you go. 92 points with 3 games remaining. We have clinched. So now at this point, I think I want to get Grubauer back in there to see who I want to go to for the playoffs. And Leonard's actually dropped down to an 83. So I don't know how much more he's going to drop off. But if that's any indication how much he's been dropping off recently, maybe holding on to Grubauer for 1 more year would be the right idea. So we're going to see how Grubauer does in these final 3 games. And presume if he can get 3 solid wins, we might have to roll with him in the playoffs. But then again, Leonard won us the Stanley Cup in year number 2. So I'm kind of conflicted as to who we should go to for the playoffs. I guess it'll just depend on what happens here. Colton White injured, best lines, a 4-1 loss against Tampa, 4-1 win against Tampa, and a 6-5 win against Carolina. I was used to saying Tampa. So we finished the season 43, 29, and 10. Good enough for third in our division. We will be facing the Penguins in the first round of the playoffs. And as we check out the team stats and the player stats, let's make this quick, because we got some playoffs to do. And hopefully make it back to the Stanley Cup. So goals for per game, we were first in our division by far, 3.61. And unfortunately, goals against per game, as usual, was way up there, 3.41. But at least we made up for it with our goal scoring. Power play, still at the top of the division, 22.6. It's pretty solid. Penalty kill, we know that it was pretty bad throughout the season. It was at one point at a 69.8, but at a 75.4, you gotta think, guys, of recent, that's at least an 80%. So I can't complain too much. You know, that's above the Rangers, that's above Columbus. If you take out the amount of time that we were at 69% for. But we have the playoff experience on our roster as well. We have the Stanley Cup experience, and a lot of it as well, given that the majority of our roster from our Stanley Cup team is still here, or at least our main core is still here. You know, Hischier, Hughes, Gusev, Hall, Bratt, Subban, Palmieri. So speaking of which, Hischier with 89 points led our team this year. He was a stud. Not only offensively, but defensively. He finally had his offensive breakout year. And yeah, I mean, that is glorious. You take a look at year 1, 63, 61, 58, 60. Looks like he was going to be a consistent 60-point guy, which isn't bad, but you put him on a line with Hall and Hughes, he's dynamite. 89 points for Nico Hischier. Jack Hughes with a point per game, 82 points, 66 assists, not too shabby. Gusev with 79 points, 46 goals. Taylor Hall with 44 goals, 78 points. So yeah, I think you got to keep that first line of Hughes, Hall, and Hischier together. Bratt with 61 points. He did his job. Boquist with 52, so career high for him. Good call putting him on the second line, if I do say so myself. And he got 12 power play points as well, so maybe we consider leaving him on the power play. Palmieri with 49 points. Beijing on the fourth line with 20 goals and 37 points total. And only 6 of those were power play points. 31 even strength points on the fourth line. And only 9/16 of ice time. What a beast. Kiefer Bellows with 36 points. Lundell with 32 points. So not as much offensive as we wanted him to produce. However, it does look like he picked up the pace a little bit when he was bumped down to the third line. So maybe he is just truly the perfect third line player. Dubé with 31 points. So even Dubé, who didn't get power play time at all, 31 points. That fourth line is excellent. And Pavel Zacha with 29 points. I believe that's the most he's had since year number 2. And again, you know what happened in year number 2. This team is looking poised to make another run. And Cini with 3 points in 6 games. Faceoffs, you have Hischier with a 53.5, Boqvist with a 52.3, Zacha with a 51.9, and Lundell with a 49.9. Hit-wise, you have Bellows, Hughes, Paul, Palmieri, all with above 100. Gusev had almost hit per game as well. Beijing with 65, 58 for Lundell, 56 for Zacha and Dubé, 53 for Bratt, 48 for Hischier, 36 for Boqvist, and 1 for Cini. And takeaways and giveaways, all the usual guys, Lundell, Hischier, Hall, Hughes, all fantastic. And I'm just going to skim through these guys real quick. Don't really need to go through all of them as we didn't make the playoffs. Not too big of a deal otherwise. And as we take a look at defensemen, looks like PK picked it up offensively towards the end of the year. 52 points. Falk with 47 points. He was pretty good for us this year. Granted, he didn't shoot the puck as much as I'd like him to. I mean, he did have 250 shots last year with LA, and pretty consistently as well. Over 3 years with LA, he never had any less than 241 shots. But you know what? He got the offense. That's all that really matters to me. Ty Smith with 29 points, so I believe he is Mr. Consistency when it comes to point scoring. He has had no less than 26 points in any 1 year, and no more than 29. And he's been in the NHL for 4 years now. So Damon Seaver, it looks like he's capped off. I mean, I'm all right with the defenseman that he is. He obviously didn't live up to his potential, but you know what? He's still a serviceable offensive defenseman for the NHL. Damon Severson, 17 points. Haig with 12. Vukojevic with 9. And Schmaltz with 4 and 13. And that's another reason why Smith was taken off the power play in favor of, who was it? Beijing. He only had 1 power play point. And as we go to hits, Subban, Severson, Vukojevic, all with over 100, or, well, 100 or more, I should say. Vukojevic has exactly 100. And Nick Haig with 96 hits, so he was close as well. Falk with 63, Smith with 30, you don't really expect him to hit, and Schmaltz with 12. And takeaways to giveaways, I mean, as we know, as I already explained in this video, it's kind of hard to gauge the takeaways and giveaways with defensemen, and seemingly specifically in this file with the amount of offense that there is. And goaltenders, Leonard with an .892 save percentage over 56 games, Grubauer with a .905 in 36, but how many games did he play for us? 18. And he had a .905. You know what? I think we got to start with the goaltender who got us into the playoffs, or, well, maybe not into the playoffs. I mean, Grubauer definitely had a hand in that as well, but the one who won us the Stanley Cup in year number 2. But if he faults, I will not hesitate to go to Grubauer. So there you have it. There is the year 5 regular season. Let's see. I mean, we already know who we have in the playoffs. We have the Penguins. So let's check out the lines of the Penguins, and then we will end things off. First line, you have Cahoon, Crosby, and Svechnikov. Second line, you have Galchenyuk, Gensel, and Dzingel. Third line, Kajula, McCann, and Goddard. And the fourth line, Aston Reese, Miletic, and Hornqvist. And it looks like Hornqvist is actually with the WB Scranton Penguins, as the logo is different when you go over to him. So these are the lines as we last saw them. And on defense, you have Honka and Klingberg. That's going to be great. Schultz and Larson, and then Joseph with Moore. And in goal, they have Saros and Smith. And Scratch, Garland, Letang, and Gabranson. So there you go. That'll be it for this one. And the next one, we have Arizona versus Vegas, Calgary versus San Jose, St. Louis versus Winnipeg, Colorado versus Chicago, and the East, you have Boston versus Tampa, Toronto versus Philly, Carolina versus Florida, and the Pittsburgh Penguins versus your New Jersey Devils. And I'll see you guys in the next one.